What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Wrestling. This is my review for the March 25th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, comment on House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And tonight's Smackdown, man. I'm kind of I'm kind of disappointed in. Now, first, I want to make sure that you guys understand where I'm coming from. Like, I wasn't expecting, like, oh my god, this over top thing. But one thing that I have noticed with WWE going into WrestleMania is outside of the Cody rumors and Seth Rollins innuendo to Cody Rhodes coming to WWE, and Kevin Owens and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Even the Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville thing. Outside of that, outside of anybody that is an outsider, Cody Rhodes is coming in. Outside of that, there hasn't been much depth to the creative going into WrestleMania. Like, it just hasn't been deep. It just feels like the focus has been more on making sure WrestleMania is this grand thing, but it doesn't feel like, okay, WrestleMania is going to be this grand thing, but man, after WrestleMania, oh my god, this is going to be cool. Like, it just doesn't have that like it had in years past. Even last year, after WrestleMania, it's like, oh man, this is going to be cool. It just feels like everything's how do I put it? Everything creative is loaded up for WrestleMania, but afterwards, it's like a big question mark, and not a good question mark. But you know what? Let me get into this. So basically, it started with a recap from last week: Brock Lesnar tearing the door off and everything, and then we get backstage. This was actually pretty funny. So Brock Lesnar's back there, and he's basically saying, like, I'm gonna go into Roman Reigns' locker room. Maybe I want to be provoked. Maybe I'm gonna provoke him. So he goes in there. He's like, oh, wow, this is nice. Not as good as mine, but yeah, it's nice. He throws the title on the couch. He sits on the couch, and I don't know how strong Brock Lesnar's legs are, and maybe that table was flimsy. But then again, it's Brock Lesnar. He broke the freaking table with his legs. He didn't stomp on it going forward. Like, it was like if you lay back with your legs on a couch, and he just broke it with his legs. Like, it just shattered. It was like, whoa, this like Brock Lesnar, crazy, man. But that was pretty cool. So then we go to a match between Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura, or Rick Boogs facing, was it Rick Boogs or Shinsuke Nakamura? Shinsuke Nakamura facing Jimmy Uso. Yeah, forgive me, guys. So yeah, you have that match. Yeah, it was okay heading to their match at WrestleMania. That's something that I noticed about tonight's show, that a lot of matches were kind of like previews, or like, yeah, this is a preview for what's going to happen at WrestleMania. It's just like, all right, it is what it is. So yeah, you had that. Then you had a recap of the Kevin Owens Stone Cold fake out from this past Monday, where Kevin Owens had the was it the thing that covers your head, they have in the movies and stuff like that. So he had that, which was pretty funny. So they recap that. Then we go backstage, where Brock Lesnar, Caleb Braxton goes in there and tries to interview him, and he tastes the champagne. He throws the damn champagne. Like, Brock Lesnar's using anything he can to throw against the wall and break. So you get that. Then they cut to the announcement of Shad Gaspard getting the Warrior Award, which is pretty cool. Like, not me saying pretty cool undermines it. Like, no, this is very cool that he's getting this. It's unfortunate of the circumstances as to why he's getting it, because of what transpired with his death, where his son was drowning, and he told the lifeguards, "Hey, take care of him. Just take care of him." And unfortunately, passed away, and they found him, days later. But it's cool that they're honoring him, because his reputation outside of the ring was, man, very positive. I know people that are wrestlers who knew him, and they like, no, this guy was a really stand-up dude, did a lot of great things. And again, it's unfortunate of the reason why he's receiving the award, but it's good that they're honoring Shad Gaspard. So from there, we transition into a backstage segment with Drew McIntyre. My biggest question with Drew McIntyre is, how has no wrestler gotten a lawyer? Mind you, this is, I know it's scripted, but think about it. It's logical storytelling. Drew McIntyre is walking around with a sword, which is considered a deadly weapon. Like, you can't walk around with a sword because it is a deadly weapon. Like, how is that? That's something that irks me, because every person, like, scared, like, oh my God, he has a sword. File a lawsuit. Get a lawyer. Like, it's a deadly weapon. Like, what do you, like, hello? So yeah, we get that. Then we get a recap of Baron Corbin last week. That's what it basically is. Then we get a backstage segment with Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss, talking about Baron Corbin used this analogy of a trilogy, and at WrestleMania it's going to be me defeating him. He's going to embarrass Drew McIntyre. Now again, as I'm saying this, you could see a common pattern that's happened where on the show where there's someone comes out, then there's a recap, then they go back, or it's a recap, then it goes to that actual feud. So it was just really very unorthodox, especially for a SmackDown show. So from there, we get a match between who was it? Sheamus. He's with Ridge Holland and Butch. And Kofi Kingston comes out. And Kofi Kingston is like, well, I didn't tell you which New Day member, which was kind of like, I don't know if it was Kofi's thing, but it was like, okay, we know Big E's not coming because he's injured, so it's got to be Kofi unless you have like a new member or something like that. And Xavier Woods comes out, King Woods, and this match lasted like 2 minutes. That was it. Lasted like 2 minutes. That's what it was. It was 2 minutes. So then we cut backstage, and Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman are in Roman Reigns' Suburban, and basically Roman Reigns says if he doesn't get out of the locker room, I'm just going to beat the hell out of him, and he's not going to do anything about it. Then we go to how would I put this? We get Ronda Rousey coming out. Then they go to a recap. Then they come back to Ronda Rousey. Now, this promo, this was a very, like, it sucks for Ronda Rousey, and I don't know why they have her like this. And I tweeted this, like, WWE is doing to her what WCW did with Goldberg. Like, the money in Ronda Rousey is her beating the hell out of people, not talking. And she's given this promo, and she starts it off by saying, I'm going to beat you, Charlotte, for the WWE Smackdown Women's Championship. And why is it women? I'm going to beat you for the Smackdown Championship. And it's just like, okay, I can see that. And as she keeps talking, Charlotte interferes, and she comes on a Jumbotron or Titantron, whatever that damn thing is named, and she's just talking down to her, and Charlotte's just on a photo set, and she's just being very condescending. And Ronda Rousey's like, you know what? Bring your Barbie ass out here. And then she utters this. Oh my God. Ronda Rousey tells Charlotte, when I broke my arm, no. What did she? I'm trying to remember because it. Yeah, now I remember, and I have it on my notes. Forgive me, guys. She says, "When I broke my first arm." That is what Ronda Rousey said in the promo. When I broke my first arm, and at first I laughed. I'm like, "What? What is she like?" like what? Like who thought? And I did tweet that it's like, man, she's starting to be like the Sid Vicious of promos. But again, Ronda Rousey isn't a strong talker. Why do you have her out there giving promos when the money is in her beating the hell out of people, not talking? Granted, I know WWE, everyone should talk. No, everyone should not talk. Like, everyone's not the same. There's a reason why there's introverts and there's extroverts. Like, there's some people that just go to work, don't say anything, they mind their business, and go back home. Like, not everybody's very, outgoing in the life of the party and everything. There's just some people who, hey, they like going to party just to chill. There's certain people that like going to party with their friends. There's certain people that just like keep it to themselves. It's like, oh man, like it was funny at first, but then after they moved on to the show, and I'm just like, why do they like it? It really didn't add to the match. Granted, WrestleMania is going to look nice. It's going to be big. It's going to be packed. It's going to be all this, but the creativity is very poor. And again, one of the main reasons why there's so much hype behind this year's WrestleMania is because Cody Rhodes coming from AEW and Stone Cold Steve Austin possibly being in the match. Outside of that, it's the same like it was last year, if not a peg down or pegs down. That's just how it is, and it's not a guarantee. And that's something that I think a lot of people need to be mindful of, and hopefully you guys who watch this review, let me know what you think on the comment below. But granted, Stone Cold's coming back and everything, he's going to have this thing, but he's not going to be there every week. Cody Rhodes, when he shows up, he's going to be there every week. Granted, he's going to have the hype and, Cody Rhodes here, he possibly have the American Nightmare theme, and they're going to call him American Nightmare, and they're going to treat him like he was in AEW, and it's like, this last year and a half wasn't very, just wasn't connecting with people. Just saying. So, I felt very like, WWE, what are you doing? Quit putting Ronda Rousey in a situation that A, it's not her strong point, and B, put her in the position that we like, beating the hell out of people. Makes sense. And I'm gonna leave this side note. And I know this is SmackDown Room, but let me just share this with you guys who are gonna watch this. Why hasn't WWE? They have all these factions. They had they had Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH, which I don't know where she's at now. Why haven't they had Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville in a faction? Boo! Like, that would be a badass faction. Like, you've had New Day be a 3-person faction. Why not have them be a 3-person faction for the women's division? Like, hello, it's there. Like, use it. So from there, we get a backstage segment with Brock Lesnar, and he's just chilling. He's like, he takes a little fan, he just throws it against the wall. Again, Brock Lesnar just picking up things and throwing it against the wall and breaking it. That's pretty much, he's like a freaking Donkey Kong and everything. So from there, we get a match between Ricochet and, which I thought was Angel, and they showed Humberto's graphics. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys who were watching this review. Did they show Humberto's graphic first? And then, like, I don't know, it was just, it threw me off. So they, it was a distraction pin, so Angel won. Then Ricochet, he grabs the mic, he's like, it's not going down like that. I'm going to break up this family reunion, which is like, they've been a team for like months now. Like, what are you talking about? Break up this family? Like, again, there's another thing about what happens, and I was just like, what, like, huh? Like, what? So you get that. Then there's an impromptu match. Ricochet versus Humberto. And guess what happens? So Ricochet throws Humberto out the ring by the announce table, and the ref's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's counting out. He's making a 10 count. And it's 7, 8. Humberto gets in the ring. And then Angel Garza is underneath the ring, and he's holding Ricochet, and the ref counts to 10. So Ricochet, the Intercontinental Champion, lost twice to Los Lotharios. One by a distraction finish, and the other by a countout because the other teammate was holding his leg. That's what happened. So from there, we get a backstage segment with Sami Zayn, basically talking about Johnny Knoxville. It wasn't too much to it. Then we get, as they transition back, Austin Theory comes out of nowhere and hits Pat McAfee in the face. So Pat McAfee chases him through the back and everything, and Austin Theory runs into Mr. McMahon's office, which is okay. Kind of cool, kind of makes sense because Austin Theory comes across like that guy that would do something and then he hit me, what are you doing? I'm the victim here, not like a Karen. There you go. Austin Theory is coming across like a Karen. So you get that. Then we get the Fatal 4-Way match, which when I tweeted it and I looked at it, it looked like they were going to have all the teams in the Fatal 4-Way, which wasn't the case, but they had one member from each team in the Fatal 4-Way, which is for the Women's Tag Team Championship. So you had Sasha Banks, Selena Vega, Rhea Ripley, and I believe Shayna Baszler. Which was, it was okay, it's the Fatal 4-Way, but for me, it really didn't make sense because it's okay, why not have a singles match or something like that? That way you keep them apart. So, because again, next Friday there's another Smackdown right before WrestleMania. So why would you do that now when you kind of could have done that next week and build for their match the following day? It would have made sense. But Sasha Banks won the match with her submission hold and everything. I think it was an okay match, but again, it's just, oh God, WWE, why? Man, it's hard to explain. This is a very kooky build to WrestleMania. It's very kooky. I was tweeting to one of my colleagues, Kyle Means from War Media, or We Are Radio Media, and it just feels like this WrestleMania, it's so similar to Starrcade 97. And I remember that because I was 15 going on 16 years old, and outside of Bret Hart being a special referee there, and Hulk Hogan and Sting, the whole NWO, Hogan Sting's finally getting his match with Hogan. Outside of that, the creative in WCW wasn't that good. That was the only two anchors for that pay-per-view. And of course, it showed later because they still relied on the NWO, and everything else just really wasn't creatively outside of that wasn't strong as the NWO storylines. And I don't know, it's just, that's how it looks to me with the WWE right now. So then we get a backstage segment of Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. They arrive in the arena, and Heyman's I just don't have a good feeling about this. So then from there, we get Roman Reigns coming out. Of course, his entrance is 5 minutes. He comes to the ring, and he's cutting his promo, acknowledge me. Brock Lesnar shows up. Or actually, he didn't show up. He comes out the office. He walks to Roman Reigns' SUV, Suburban. He has this freaking, what is it? It's the Garden Sickle, I think that's what it was. It's the, I forgot the name of the damn weapon. It's on the tip of my tongue, but he just bust out the damn windows of Roman Reigns' Suburban, and then he throws it, grabs his belt. Roman Reigns comes to the ring. They just leave. Like they run from him, and that was basically the show. Like that was basically it. That was SmackDown. Again, it's one of the reasons, and I know many people are excited about Cody Rhodes. Oh man, how they're going to use him? How they're going to do this? How they're going to do that? For me, I like to use logic. Not saying anyone else that believes that isn't using logic or anything like that. Just as how I'm perceiving it and taking the situation with Cody Rhodes going to WWE. For the short term, it's going to be, oh man, and by short term, I mean 3 to 4 months. Oh man, this is great, man. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes. But WWE has not done a very good job of building new stars. And the reason why that is because the new stars that Cody Rhodes could have been facing are in AEW. Weird. They're in AEW. They're new in Japan. Someone with the Impact. Some are still unsigned. But outside of that, outside of the Austin, outside of the Logan Paul, you could almost say the Johnny Knoxville. Creatively, like WWE is very, very lethargic. And if there's autopilot, WWE is like below autopilot. Again, this isn't bashing WWE or anything like that. Like I've always said about WWE, I love the wrestlers, but the creative that the creative team or whoever, Vince and the creative team is giving to the wrestlers is horrendous. Like this stuff, some of it does make sense, but like not to the degree that it elevates the character and it just makes you want to see more of them. It just, okay, like maybe this is a thing that's gonna take them to the next level. And I like to use the analogy. It's an analogy that they use in pro sports, and unfortunately, somebody said that Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the Chicago Bulls and White Sox, said it. But basically, what he's saying was, just give them a perception that you're trying to be competitive, but you're not. Like, make it look like they're competitive, but they're not. You're never gonna get the championship. Like, it's gonna appear like that, and it feels like WWE's booking is like that. That they want the fans to perceive that they're gonna get the title one day, but in actuality, they're not gonna give them the title unless dire circumstances. They're not gonna give them the title, and once WrestleMania comes, what's going to happen with the Brock Roman thing? Like, it's like a title unification thing. Does the championships even mean anything anymore? Becky Lynch is more than likely going to use Bianca Belair. Charlotte is probably going to lose to Ronda Rousey. RK Bro is probably going to lose to Street Profits, or they might retain it just for the crowd pop. The women's tag titles, Sasha Banks and Naomi are probably going to win that match. So it's like everything on this card is just like very predictable, as was Starrcade 97. I don't know, man. It's very disappointing and unfortunate because you have so many creative, talented guys on SmackDown and Raw. And mind you, I watch the show every week. There's a reason why I don't review it, because one is draining and tiring, and just stuff like this is just like, it's a lot of stuff is unnecessarily could be way leaps and bounds way better than what they're presenting. But when you're a $1 billion company and you're recording $1 billion profits, you don't have a need to change, or you don't feel the need to change. So there you go. But yeah, this was a very, very unusual SmackDown the week before WrestleMania. And I know they made the announcement that this coming Raw is going to be SmackDown or WrestleMania Raw. And next week's SmackDown is going to be WrestleMania SmackDown. So it's just, that's another concern. Like, are they now going to start overkilling the name WrestleMania where it's just like, all right, because the thing is, like, no matter what situation or how bad WWE's creative is, when you mention the name WrestleMania, there's just it's like wrestling's holy grail. Like, there's just certain things that you just don't tweak or touch. You just don't overkill it. You preserve that name. It's like it's like the NFL. If there's a reason why when it comes to the Super Bowl, like when it's the Super Bowl, they just Super Bowl, Super Bowl. But during the season, they never really. They're like, they'll mention it, but they're like, okay, week 1, week 2, week 3, but it's a proper build to that, and they don't say, oh yeah, this is the 2023 Super Bowl divisional round playoffs, or this is the Super Bowl divisional round, and oh, this is the Super Bowl NFC champion. Like, after a while, it would just get overkill, and the Super Bowl wouldn't be as unique, and that's unfortunate and that's scary because it seems like WWE is going down a road of just over commercializing their brand. And look, I'm gonna say it like it is. Those of you guys who watch my reviews, I'm a straight shooter. Granted, Cody Rhodes is coming in. You have all this and everything. Vince McMahon is what, 74, 75 or something like that. Like, Vince McMahon ain't young. Like, 72. Forgive me. He's 72. Like, he's not a young guy anymore. And the longer he's there, the more distant he becomes from pop culture. Like, there's just certain things that just don't connect with fans. And that's scary and that's unfortunate because you got a lot of talented guys. And again, Cody Rhodes going to WWE. Yeah, it's an AEW guy coming to WWE, but look, man, the old saying, sometimes the grass isn't so green on the other side, even though they're giving you a large sum of money. There's just certain things that, granted, I know many of you are going to say, well, he's got it's a lot of money and provide for your family. I'm talking about the professional side. I'm not talking about the personal side. Like, hey, these wrestlers can do whatever they want to choose, as far as how to support their family. But professionally, like, look, man, many people can make a lot of money, but man, if there's no happiness with that money can become very burdensome. Like, man, I'm making all this money, but I am not happy. And that has been the track record for WWE for the past few years. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is my review for the March 24th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe to House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And like I always say before, all my reviews and videos, stop fighting over wrestling. Next week, we're going to have wrestling on every day for the next 2 weeks. The one day that there's not going to be wrestling is going to be on April 10th. And it's March 25th right now. So we're getting wrestling every day for the next 2 weeks. Enjoy it, man. We're getting AEW, we're getting WrestleMania, we're getting Ring of Honor Supercard, which there might be surprises there. We're getting the multiverse matches with Impact Wrestling. If you're a fan of NWA, you're going to get that. Of course, we're going to get New Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan Strong, and New Japan After Impact. We're going to get MLW Fusion. Like, we're just getting so much wrestling, man. Enjoy it, man, because there's a lot of talented wrestlers that are so creative, that are giving us stuff that we've been wanting for years, and it's right with us. So enjoy it, all right? With that,